Hello and welcome back to the Kingdom Accelerator Program Zoom call. I'm very happy you guys are joining us today. My name is Coach Kade. I'm one of the coaches in this program, and it is my job, among with the other coaches' jobs, to make sure that you guys are having great success and blowing up and going viral as fast as possible for the sake of the kingdom. So I'm happy if you're watching live with us right now. Today's going to be a really, really informative, very good day. We're going to be talking about copyright. And I did a Facebook Live over the weekend just because the conversation was being had progressively so. And today I wanted to do a bit more of a teaching, make sure the points were across, make sure we went in and explained a couple different things. And I gave some examples just to make sure everybody was on the same page. So one thing I want to stress is copyright should not be an issue for creators if you know what you're doing and what they're actually looking for to strike you on. So if you know what they're looking for, you're going to be totally fine because you can avoid it altogether. And so today's going to be super, super informative. And then after that, get your questions ready. Any questions you have, whether you feel like they're amateur or beginner, doesn't matter. Once we're done talking about that, we're going to do some hot seats if need be, which basically means if you can't type out the question, I'm going to pull you on and you can go ahead and communicate. Just tell your question, ask your question to me, and we're going to go from there and we're going to cover a lot. So whether you're watching with us live, welcome everybody on the Zoom. Good to see all the new people coming in. Good to see you, Brother Robert, Brother Steve, Brother Johan. Good to see you, Dr. Kathy. Great to see you. Been seeing your stuff out there and it's getting some traction. I saw it on Instagram. That's amazing. Awesome. It's so good to see everybody. We got Coach Tracy on, Coach Megan, some of our coaches. This is awesome. So good. Well, if you're watching this after it's posted, it's going to be just as helpful as if you're watching this now. And so I want to talk today about copyright. We had a couple people get some flags. So I'll be super straightforward. We've had 3 people run into issues with copyright. One of which happened like a couple months ago when all of a sudden his channel was banned out of nowhere. Now, hear what I'm about to say about this as well. He didn't know why. It was like out of nowhere, his channel was banned. He appealed it and it got restored, no issue at all. Because what happens with copyright and with YouTube, think about YouTube. It's the second largest search engine in the world behind Google, and Google owns YouTube. And so when you run into issues like copyright or restrictions, which we're going to talk about, or let's say your channel gets flagged or you get a strike or anything like that. The reality is your channel doesn't get flagged by a person first. It gets flagged by a system or an algorithm, which is why you have the opportunity to appeal or dispute a claim, because the system is activated to like take the pressure off of the people. It would be impossible for everyone to person monitor all the content out there on YouTube. So they put different algorithmic systems in place to actually catch on to these things, which is why our system, if you do it right, I mean, you never get flagged for copyright. Even if you're using different videos from different people, different sources, all that kind of stuff, most of the time, if you know what you're looking for, you can avoid it altogether. And I'm going to show that to you shortly, and I'm going to get into that even more. But right now, copyright, the first layer of defense for most of these social medias is just totally their system. And so this one person, when he got banned, it's because his channel got like flagged for whatever reason in the system. He got like instantly banned. He appealed it. It was manually or personable. There was a person that reviewed it, and then it got restored. No issues, never had an issue since. The second person was dealing with what we're going to talk about today, which is shorts policy and the restrictions on there. This sounds really big, but I'm going to make it super, super simple. So if you feel kind of like, oh, I'm not super tech savvy, or some of this vocabulary, I'm not sure, it's going to be super simple. We're going to make it super easy. And number 3 was someone who got in trouble on Facebook. So I'm going to cover these 3 things. Number 1, we kind of covered already, which is it's a system. And most of the time, if you appeal, if you dispute, if you kind of go in and you actually look at that, which I'm going to show you how to do that today, most of the time, it's going to be fine. And then number 2, which I want to talk about, is shorts policy. So if you're following so far, go ahead, throw a fire emoji in the comments. Today is going to be a bit more like logistical, like this is what we're looking for. These are the do's and don'ts of copyright. So first of all, I want to encourage you, you can do trending clips. You can do trending videos. You can hop on trends. You can reuse videos from other people. You have the right to copy. That's what we say in the kingdom with this emphasis. In the kingdom, it's free game. It's for the Lord, right? So no one's like, oh, you use my content or use the same phrases and words I did. No, it is what it is. But then legally, there's a way to do that where you don't actually like get in trouble, right? So understand the difference there. When we encourage you guys to reuse other people's content, it's not like I'm going to download their video and then I'm uploading it to my channel. No, it's more like this kid, this miracle was caught on video. Watch this. There's a way to take that video, react to it, put something in front of it, put something behind it, put caption on it, put some music on it where it's free public use and you're not going to get in trouble for that. And so we're just going to dive into that today. I see a bunch of fire emojis. I think this is going to be super good. And I got a fire truck from Brother Felix. Praise God. So this is going to be super good. So on YouTube, the first thing I want to talk about is under content on your YouTube dashboard on desktop. So there are some things that the YouTube Studio app does not have that a desktop browser gets you. So YouTube Studio on Chrome, YouTube Studio through Google, whatever you want to do, through Safari, you get it up, YouTube Studio right there. You click on content. Now I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show this to you. So you click on content. I believe everybody's seeing this right now. You click over here on content. Right now, we're looking at an example from Evangelist Talent. This is what we're looking for right here. Restrictions. So any restrictions that impact your video are going to be noted here. So for the most part, even with these shorts policy, I'm going to get into that for the second, but when you're doing things the right way, you should have no restrictions 99.9% of the time. It should be, you post this video up here, none. And that's going to be pretty much like the way it goes for every platform. If it's not getting struck on YouTube, you should be pretty good, except for one area, which I'm going to talk about later for Facebook. But right now, this is what I want to talk about, because the second guy that ran into issues with his shorts, his YouTube being demonetized for 90 days was this right here. It's called shorts policy. And this is kind of like a new restriction they've brought out that we didn't know a whole lot about until as of recently. So I'm going to move this over here because that was in my way. I don't know if you can see that, but so shorts policy, here's the thing that throws people off. It says no restriction, right? Your shorts visibility and ad revenue are not affected. The copyright protected content detected doesn't affect your short due to the shorts monetization policy. Now, this might be true. But what we ran into with the other guy is every single one of these videos he uploaded was getting shorts policy, and they demonetized him because of non-original content. So the thing I want you to see here is you can have a couple of these shorts policies out here, which means, like, for example, these flagged because of the music, or for whatever reason, something got clipped. You can have it every once in a while and not be in trouble. But if every time you're posting, you're getting clipped for shorts policy, for whatever reason, YouTube doesn't include that in the non-original content like standard or policy they have. Because this guy, everything he was posting was shorts policy, and then he got demonetized because of non-original content. So even though this says like, oh, no restriction, you're totally fine, that might be true, but you do not want every single one of your videos to be getting flagged for shorts policy. That's like a no-go. And because shorts policy is just saying that there is copyright content in here, but because it's a short 59 seconds, 30 seconds or less, it's not full out copyright. So they're not gonna put the hammer down immediately. But if all of your content is flagging shorts policy, they're going to jump on you for non-original content. Does that make sense? I think so. If that's making sense, go ahead and put a thumbs up emoji in the comments. So now I'm going to pull this up here. I'm going to go to my channel over here. So bear with me for one moment as I do this. I'm going to flip over to mine. Let's see if I go find this item. So I'm going to show you a different type of restriction here that can happen if you're not careful. Okay, I'm going to show you another two types. So I'm going to share my screen again. Hold on before I do that. All right, so now we're seeing two different types. Now we have restriction ad suitability. This is a different type of restriction. This video has been confirmed by manual review as not suitable for most advertisers. It remains fully playable and is eligible to earn subscription revenue from YouTube Premium. And its ad is limited. Now, why did this happen? For whatever reason, one of the videos I made on the kid being buried in rubble for 112 hours got flagged as basically like 18 plus content or violent content, which then the restriction isn't necessarily copyright, but you can get flagged for ad suitability. Now, understand the difference of this. It doesn't have to do with like demonetization. Now, if everything you're putting out is getting flagged for like 18 plus or like violence and terrorism and fear and stuff like that, that's when you're going to get in trouble. But if what you're putting out is just like once in a while you get flagged like this, your ad revenue will be limited because advertisers don't want to put their stuff on something that is fear-mongering or like violent or in what our woke society would call triggering. Does that make sense? That's just another example. Okay. Now, this is what I want to show you. I attempted to jump on the theme of Doja Cat being demon possessed when she came out literally as a cat the other day, because that video was going super, super viral. And I did that, but I did it wrong. Now, I want you to hear what I'm saying. Notice how many people made this video and most people didn't have any issue. But I took my video from like a super confirmed source, like a super big news source. And what they did is when I reposted it, even though I put a whole bunch of stuff on it, I did the same technique that normally doesn't get blocked. They flagged me because I did the wrong video. Here's a rule of thumb. Don't take your videos that you're reacting from like news stations very often. Especially, or like YouTube news stations or things that actually represent YouTube that are easily flaggable. Like if you take them off of, for example, there's Jesus pages out there or Living Daily for God that like post all these random videos, all that type of viral content. Make sure you're doing it in a way that, like, if you think about it, has gone through some parties, if you think about it like that. And I'll explain that better here. So this is a full-on copyright, non-viewable and like ineligible for making funds. It's officially blocked. And this is what it says, right? So my channel is not affected because this is my first offense, but video cannot be seen or monetized because it blocked in all territories on behalf of, so this is where I got my video from, Vogue France. And they cracked down on it. And what had happened was it blocked its visibility and it made it ineligible. But if I would have gotten this video some other way from a different source, from more of like a third-party source, there would have been nothing in this video's like DNA, quote unquote, or its data that would have gotten flagged. So how do I say this simply? When you're getting videos off of the internet, try to get them more from like a already reposted source. You can find original sources. So for example, with a lot of the deliverance videos that people have done, they've gotten from Apostle Catherine Crick. Well, she's not like a news station that's actively looking to jump on copyright. She doesn't care. She's just a minister. So you're going to be fine. I took this from, and this is the only time I've ever had an issue with this. I took this from Vogue, however you pronounce that, France. And They jumped on it because it's a big news station that's actively looking to make sure their content is not being used. So what's an easy rule of thumb to avoid this all entirely together is just be wary of where you're getting your reposted content from. If it's a creator, if it's a person, most of the time you're not going to run into issues. If it's a giant organization, that's where you're like, okay, let's see if I can find this video that's already been reposted somewhere else and then make a spin off of that. Does that make sense? If you have questions about that, go ahead, throw it in the comments. So now this is the only time I have ever, and I'm coming up closer to a year of doing YouTube, where I've literally had on YouTube like something get copyrighted so hardcore that it was literally taken off the internet and the 2 views were myself. It's the only time. And then there's been other times like this where it's not necessarily to do with copyright, more just content where they add suitable, where that kind of flags. So now there's 2 things. I'm going to write this down here for you. 2 things I want to talk about. The dispute. And then the other is, I'm going to talk about 2 things now, which is how to actually dispute a claim like this. So now, videos that I've done in the past have been flagged or perhaps had issues for various reasons. Now, there's something you can do under the restrictions tab where you can go into this, you can click see details. And let's say it's not music, because if it's music like this, it's going to say you have no issue, but for whatever reason, this 35 seconds is getting flagged. I can click the actions button here, and I can click dispute. Because if I actually own the rights to this content, if for whatever reason they're flagging me, a lot of times if it's like flagged, like I did a video on hell and it got flagged for like not suitable for all advertisements. And I was like, no, this video is suitable. Like it's not that hardcore. So I disputed it. When you dispute something off of its first time being restricted, it gets manually reviewed. And 9 times out of 10, the video gets fully restored. So now what the difference about this is, since it's music, it's a little bit different because the only way I can dispute this is if I actually purchase the rights to use this music off of like a subscription from a music rights company, if that makes sense. So you're going to lose that dispute if you don't own the rights. But if it's more like this isn't suitable for everybody, like this type of thing, the reason I don't have the option here is because I went back in and already disputed it. And for whatever reason, they said, look, this is the difference. I want you to notice this here. This video has been confirmed by manual review. So they don't manually review 9 times out of 10 unless you actually dispute it. Then they manually review it. And if I had maybe more videos, so I disputed both of these, and I lost them. But 9 times out of 10, if I ever get that, when I dispute, I win it, and then they put no restrictions on it. So you want to look to do that as much as possible if you're getting those things. And then if you're getting, like, for example, I did an ISIS soldier encounters Jesus. He gave his life to Jesus. It's a credible testimony. But because of the keyword ISIS in there and stuff like that, boom, they crack down on that stuff. Right? So your goal is to never have, and it's totally an attainable goal, to never have restrictions pop up. If you never have restrictions pop up, you're never going to run into issues with copyright. And if you have restrictions pop up, understand what you perhaps did, and then just make the adjustment and not do it. I want to stress this as well. If you're only having like once in a while, obviously you don't want it to happen at all, but you more than likely, 9 times out of 10, once again, if you're only having it once in a while, you're not going to, you don't need to be afraid of being demonetized or anything like that. But if it's every single post, that's when you're going to get into trouble. If it's the majority, if it crosses 50%, that's when you're like, oh, This is an issue. All these got flagged down here because this is when they, first of all, this is when they started introducing this. But second of all, because all of these videos were literally like taken straight from the internet and then just uploaded because they're super clickbaity and they work really well. For example, this got shorts policy, but it got me 800,000 views, right? So I'm not going to talk about that right now. But now, so first of all, I'm going to look for any questions because I've been screen sharing. So if you have any questions, go ahead and ask them real quick. And then I'm going to talk about types of content that actually gets flagged, or types of content that have the highest percentile of getting you in trouble on social media, and then how to actually navigate that. That's right. Abe said, I'm sticking to doing the more original content as possible. Absolutely. You can make original content using the topic, theme, or video of another person. So you can use the same story that someone used and it be original content. Prince Health and Wellness said, communicate that last part. Just if you asked me to communicate, what part were you talking about? I wasn't looking at the comments then because I was screen sharing. Was it blocked because you included a logo or name from Vogue, or just the fact you screen recorded from them? Great question. It could be one of either. It didn't specify, they just flagged. And so you can just, because there's times when you use people's logos or anything like that, that it never gets flagged. So that's why I'm stressing the part of people who actually have like a copyright legality team, where if they see other people using their content, they're going to jump on it. Because you can do that on YouTube. You can see who uses your content on YouTube, who's reposting your videos and stuff like that. YouTube is copywriting music as well from YouTube, even TikTok. Yeah, but there's most of the time you won't get flagged for the music unless you change some up. Remember, I showed you all of those videos I just showed you had music, and they all came from TikTok unless they came from my editor. Matter of fact, the only ones that got flagged for copyrighted music were from my editor because we haven't disputed them yet because he's paid for this subscription. Brother Kevin said, I'm noticing that the more original your content is, the better it is. I try my best not to copy other content like AI vids or news articles because of this. I believe the closer to you making original content, the better I am. Correct there? Yeah, obviously you want to make original content, but the reason I'm explaining this is because there is an importance of jumping on trends or topics and videos that are having momentum. And it's possible and very easy to remake those videos originally, where it doesn't get flagged or anything like that. So the reason I'm saying this is to actually encourage you to be comfortable and confident in your ability to remake content, to use what is doing well, perhaps out there. So let's think of an example. Major viral videos like Coach Megan Timmer, for example, she did a video, a reaction video, which is legal, which is original. Legal and original to a baby getting baptized. It was the breakthrough video for her channel. 10 million views later and 100,000 plus subscribers later, all of her videos are blowing up because it was a major viral big video. Now she was able to make that video that people have used 100,000 times, but she made it in a way that was original and hers, didn't get disputed, and was the breakthrough video. So why I'm communicating this is actually to encourage you to be able to do this without fear of getting copyrighted, knowing how to do it without getting copyrighted, and understanding that it's still original, even if you found an idea somewhere else. Think about when you were asked to make a research paper. This is the thing that always made me laugh in college, in university, was they'd ask us to make an original piece of research paper, but we had to cite all of our sources, and the paper ended up just being written by me, quoted by someone else, you know? So that's how everything is made today. And then if you find a way, you can actually use an idea and make an original video. Heaven and hell videos, end times videos. I'm not discouraging originality at all. I'm actually encouraging you to do that. Jump on the trends of the topics that are really hitting right now. Like 2020, guys, dude, if we were doing this in 2020, like we all were, and we did end times videos, every single day you would be having some viral videos all the time. That's what Evangelist Talon did on TikTok. He did one video on the Euphrates River and stuff like that, got like 18 million views and got him 1 million subs in 1 week. We can use the same pictures and videos from a third-party YouTuber, Insta, or TikTok that has gone viral. Absolutely. So this is what I'm going to say. Yes. All of the videos I just showed you, I got them from Google. I got pictures from Google. When you're looking up on Google, here's what I do. I save the picture onto my phone, and then I green screen myself with that picture. And the only time you have to adjust how you're making content is if you see you made something that got flagged for a restriction. Then just understand what you did different in that system that got you flagged and don't do it again. For example, one of the ways that I avoided personally was there was a video that was like, I was trying to upload, and I don't know if any of you have experienced this before, but if you took an audio from another video and you're reacting to it, sometimes YouTube picks that up and then just mutes the audio. You can't upload it with audio. For whatever reason, the video has audio, and then when you try to upload it to YouTube, it's muted. So all I did was I screen recorded my own video in my photos album. I made a new video from that screen recording, and I went to upload it, and it had perfect audio and didn't get restricted. Why does that work? Something with how the video is made, the data. It doesn't get flagged. It puts another layer of defense. I don't know, but it works. So now I found a success system of like ways around it. And if you're interested in that, you can let me know. I can explain that to you in more depth. But what I'm saying is continue to make content. And if you ever see that restriction type of thing pop up, then just go back or understand what you did different or what content you used, and then just make a slight adjustment. Because the vast majority of the time, there's no issues. The only reason we're actually talking about this right now is because the program is growing so fast, and there's so many original creators in this program that people are creating in so many different ways that we've actually had someone run into copyright issues. So now it's time to be like, okay, let's talk about this, make sure everybody's on the same page. The biggest course of action you can take is if you're getting flagged for something in your restrictions, just make the small adjustment until it says none again, and then continue the course. Brother Robert said, is it good to use the exact same title and emojis and hashtags as someone else's videos, or should I switch it up when a couple different words, emojis, hashtags? You can. So keywords, so if a title is popping off, feel free to use the same title. I mean, you can throw in a couple different words, reorder the hashtags, use less, use more, change something up. At the end of the day, the biggest thing on shorts across the board for any platform is your hook and the quality of your video. And the title is going to help with it. The title will help. And so if you see a video that's doing well with the title, feel free to use it again. You can change it up a little bit. They're not going to copyright for a title, because think about how many videos are out there that says, give Jesus 30 seconds, give God 30 seconds, or don't scroll. If they copyrighted all of those, it's free use. Like those are just words. It's like you can't, that's not copyrightable. What they're looking for is non-original content. The illegal use, the reusing of content when you don't have permission, quote unquote. That's what they're looking for. All right. Does that answer some questions? If so, I'm going to go ahead and go into the next thing, which is types of content that gets flagged. And the do's and don'ts of that. I know this isn't like a raw necessarily. You guys are going to go viral. It's about time. You're taking off type of thing. Yeah, that's right. Brother Felix is all over that. But this is safekeeping. So that's my job. This is logistical. This is long-term type of video today. So let's talk about types of content that gets flagged. First of all, I want to talk about the age restriction content. Then I want to talk about topic restriction content. So this isn't just copyright. This is now we're just talking about restriction. And then I want to talk about music restriction. And we'll start with that and we'll see where we go from there. So types of content that gets flagged. Age restriction, like you saw. If a video is primarily suited for an older audience, let's look at like violence, for example, or terrorism. It's like, which is hardcore, but terrorism and like, this is hilarious, like fear mongering, that type of stuff has the propensity to get flagged and be age restricted, or in other words, not suitable for all advertisers. Yeah, like ISIS. That's right. It's a great idea. It was a great story, but it just did not fly. Coach Steven is all over that one. But other people made that video and they had success. So you know what? Praise God. So for example, this is the funny thing about like social media. I made a video on like the satanic national global gathering about how all the Satans in the world, all the Satanisms in the world got together in one place. There was about 84 of them. So you know what? Big devil. Amen. There's about 84 of them, and they were tearing out pages in a Bible. And I made a video on that, and it flopped. But I knew the topic was like fire. And someone else made the video on that and get like 5 million views. So in the same way, you can remake a video like that ISIS soldier, for example. I remade it, but I didn't make it in a way that was like good enough to be suitable for all advertisers, even though some people did. So you just got to understand what's working for you. You got to make the adjustments. You have to be a self-educator as well. You have to see what's working and flow in the stream, flow in that stream. So ISIS video is a very powerful testimony. That's right. Thank you, Brother Abe. He's backing me up here. So age restriction, okay? That makes sense. You know, you're not going to show a video. It might be like an awesome testimony of someone like a Christian standing up for their faith, but then getting persecuted for it, whatever. That's one reason it might get flagged. But more specifically, just think about topic restriction. Topics that are more than likely going to get you in more heat are things like the alphabet community, like LGBTQ plus, IA, 7X, the stuff like that, that's going to get you in trouble. More than likely, depending on how you make videos. So that's gonna flag you. So when you're making those videos, you want to make sure you're seeing what's actually working for other people and what is not. So you got to know if you're making a video on those things, TikTok is going to TikTok's got no mercy with that kind of stuff. And it could run you into flag. I'm not deterring you. I'm not saying don't do what's in your spirit or what you feel led to do, anything like that. I'm just telling you, you have to be careful for keywords. You have to be careful. That's why like people don't use the word COVID. That's another topic. Pandemics, or specifically whenever you mention COVID, if anybody did that in the last like 4 years, they immediately got like taken off of social media. So you also have to be careful with keywords instead of like that. Yeah. Johan said, you can say alphabet community and you won't get flagged instead of LGBTQ plus. Well, that worked for a while, but now it's like a known like surname. It's a known nickname for that. So anytime you make a video on this topic, you run that risk. I'm just telling you. So then you have to see what's working for you. Anytime you make a video on COVID, you run that risk. You have to see what's working for you. Anytime you make a video on ISIS or terrorism, you run that risk. So like that is kind of like a funny topic. I'm not going to make a lot of videos like that, but 9/11, there's a lot of things that like videos you can make out of that. And most of the time, that's the time of year when they don't flag all of those videos and stuff like that, because normally they have a good twist. And they surface and you talk about like testimonies or things that God did and all that, even though that whole event was totally the devil, stuff like that. So topic restrictions, just be aware that the biggest things you're going to run into is anytime you talk about LGBTQ, that stuff, COVID, you run into that, those topics, anything overtly violent and stuff, reacting to that kind of stuff. Those are the topics you'll run into that have a higher percentage of getting flagged, anything like that. So you can go ahead, just understand what you're getting yourself into when you begin to make videos on that stuff. And yeah, try to do it in a way that is suitable for all advertisers, quote unquote. Yeah, brother Kevin. So, and then just think about it. Anything that would trigger the far left. I'm trying to be like, I'm trying to be good here. I'm just like stating facts. Okay. Anything that would trigger stuff like that are videos that have the propensity, the potential to get triggered or flagged on social media. But with, like I said, this entire time I'm making videos on numerous topics, everything like that, the majority of the time you should not be having issues at all. And if you ever have an issue, it's just because you made a small change or you did something slightly wrong. Make the slight adjustment and you should be great. You can make videos on those topics without getting flagged. You can make videos on that kind of stuff and be totally fine. But those topics have the higher percentage of being troublesome, especially in our niche, Christian influencer business, anything like that, etc. Age restriction, music restriction. That's the next one we're going to do. Is there any questions there? I tried to get that across as pleasant as possible. Any questions in that regard? Awesome. Now, the final thing I want to talk about was the third area, the third person, which got in trouble on Facebook. Do not use Facebook's music. Just don't. They don't own the rights to their own music. So you're going to get flagged and you're not going to get paid if you use Facebook's music. That's what that person ran into, is he continually used, even when you're invited. So this is the other thing Facebook was doing. They invited you to have like exclusive access to be able to use Facebook's music. And then he did, and he continually got flagged, and he got like, all of them got like copyright flagged for music, stuff like that. Don't use Facebook's music. Just stay away from that altogether. Because the only issues, there's two things that Facebook has done as of late. Number one was the music. Just don't use Facebook's music and you should be great as far as music, audio, staying monetized and stuff on Facebook goes. Obviously, topics to be aware of, Facebook cracks down on as well. And then the other thing Facebook has done, because they're one of the more, they're more, what's the word? They're more a forerunner in this area, is fact checking. So just be aware that Facebook has fact checkers who, whether your video is right or wrong, they can claim to state that you're incorrect or did not give the full picture, and it's going to restrict your video. Instagram has this as well, but Facebook, you see it more often. I had this one video that was actually a remade video, because the first time I made it, it got a couple like million views and all that. It was about, sure enough, it was about Satanist clubs after school. So literally across the United States right now, there's an after-school program being spread and being implemented in some public schools, a Satanist after-school club, where they literally have Satanists come in and like talk to kids and trying to desensitize them, all that kind of stuff. And so I made a video on that, and it's a fact. But that video got, the second time I made that video, it got fact checked, where basically this person made a news article about the truth of the matter because it wasn't the full truth or whatever. And of course, that person put Satanism in a like an open, accepting side. Like, this is the full view. He's portraying it as evil, but it's not evil type of thing. They flagged the video. It stopped getting reach. So as far as Facebook goes, music, just be cautious of that. And then the second thing would be just understand that there are fact checkers there, that if you get a video flagged like that, that's only happened once of like the entire time I've been on Facebook. And it happened to that, is what it is. Praise the Lord. You know, you kind of move forward, but you don't want that to happen often either. So just be cautious of that, of the topics you're doing that are getting flagged in that way. Because if you're getting fact checked all the time, then you're going to get claimed for misinformation, which will demonetize you. And Facebook, as we all know, will then not push your content. Make sense? All right. Any questions there? Once again, I know this is a much more logistical, like point, talking these things. Kind of gotta cover it to safekeep, to safeguard channels, social media influence, because the Bible says to be wise as a serpent, but gentle as a dove. So we can make Christian videos uplifting, encouraging, loving, but we also have to understand the ways that the devil and his associates are going to try to get you off course. Any questions concerning copyright or restrictions, anything like that? Johan, off topic, but do you recommend a tutorial video on how to make a Facebook public figure page? What do you mean? Like for you to watch one on how to do that? Yep. You can ask your coach. You can also ask me. We can walk you through that. I don't have a specific video. Basically, there's 3 things on Facebook you can do right now, which is a personal profile, a public page. Those used to be the 2 things you do, which is a personal profile which represents an individual, and then there's a page which represents a public figure or business. And the 3rd thing they introduced this year was a professional profile, which basically just gives you the option to change your personal into a professional, which gives you some more ability to be, it's more like Instagram in that way, if that makes sense. So on creating a Facebook page, you need a personal profile, and then you just create a page as a public figure, and it can be your first name, your last name. It literally can be you. You're just making yourself as a page now. The difference is on Facebook, you can't like get organic reach. You can only go up to 5,000 friends. As a page, you can have unlimited amount of following, unlimited amount of reach, all that kind of stuff. So if you need to know more, it is actually like, you can look it up on Google and there's some pretty straightforward ones. But if you have any questions, go ahead, ask your coach, ask me. It should be pretty straightforward. You just create you go on there. There should be an option to create a Facebook page, create a new page, stuff like that. And then you just fill it out like you would on YouTube or you did on Instagram or TikTok. Absolutely. All right. Any other questions concerning copyright itself, restrictions itself, disputing, anything like that? Excuse me. While you're thinking, TikTok is another ball game. So most of people's restrictions or trouble come on TikTok. For example, I did a video on Jeffrey Dahmer, the famous serial killer, about how which just sounds ratchet now that you say it out loud, but on how he gave his life to Jesus at the end of his life. And I made a video on that, and because it was good, but I did it in a way that wasn't right. Worked for every other platform, but on TikTok, they chopped down on that. I had a friend, Coach Megan, for example, made a video just on identity in Christ, and it mentioned or was slightly against LGBTQ plus 7X, all that kind of stuff. And she got she wasn't able, she got kicked out of the creator fund for like 8 months. So Megan said facts the worst. But that doesn't happen often. Like, she's the only one I've heard of that had run into that kind of stuff. So that's why I wanted to talk about like topics to understand what you're getting into if you're making videos on it. That's not to say you shouldn't make videos and you can't get away with making videos on it. I'm just saying, make sure you're educated, make sure you understand how to actually go about doing that. Yep, TikTok does go hard on that. And the reason TikTok most of the time goes hard on that is because TikTok pushes videos in a very different way. TikTok, it's a viral video platform. That's literally what TikTok is. So you can make 3 videos a day and go viral in completely different audiences on all 3 of those videos and reach the world in one day. That's why they're trying to convert it into an actual search engine and a news platform. Because most of the time now, the fastest moving things are not when a news script gets typed up, all this kind of stuff, it gets portrayed on the news. No, it's someone taking a 15-second video, pressing post, and it goes viral throughout the entire internet. That's why if you have TikTok, most of the time, you hear about things happening in the world first on that platform. So the reason most of the time TikTok goes so hard on that is because it has such a wide audience that it reaches so quickly and people report your video. Coach T said, if you use other apps like CapCut and use their music, which I believe is in partnership with TikTok, will that be problematic for copyright? I have not heard of people having many issues with that. And so these are two things I would do. Two litmus tests that you can do to make sure your content is correct. Number one, does any restrictions pop up when you post? Number two, is it still getting pushed? So if you were making videos and it was getting 1,000 to 3,000 views, boom, 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 then you change how you made videos and you started putting in content and change something up, and all of a sudden your video is getting like 10 views and you're not breaking 100 views and everything's like just awful. There might be something wrong with your creation process. So then you just got to go back. Okay, what was working? What videos are working? I gotta reset a little bit. Now, once again, doesn't happen very often, but those are two litmus tests that you can do. Brother Abe, so if we got copyrights before, does it affect our audience reach? It depends on which copyright. If it's like shorts policy where it says like the restriction, the only time you get in trouble with that, if everything you make is shorts policy and they're going to say you're not original. So you won't have issues, just make the adjustments, go move forward. If you've gotten copyrighted in the past, like actual copyright where it's either yellow or red specifically, if they have not made it abundantly clear that there is an issue and you're still good, you're good to go, continue forward. I would probably definitely recommend privating that video, if not just deleting it off of your YouTube. But most of the time when someone says, I've been shadow banned, that can be true, but that's normally only true for highly controversial, quote unquote, or big time truth creators, where it's just like constantly smacking that other side. But if you're just a creator and you're just like making stuff and suddenly you're on like a low month or whatever, it might not have to do with you being shadow banned as much as it just has to do with you just got to break the algorithm again. Are there better sites to get stock footage, stuff you use on the green screen than just off the internet? Your safest bets for pictures is just Google. When a Google search pops up, most of the time those pictures are public use, and you should be good if you just save them. You can react off of those videos. As far as videos go, screen recording them or downloading them through a third-party platform like YouTube Video Downloader, TikTok Downloader, Instagram Downloader, those are your best bets. You don't want to download them off of YouTube. You want to take them through a third-party app, just like you take your TikTok video through Snaptic or stick.com, whatever it is, through a third-party app like that. And then as far as actual video, like montage footage and stuff like that, to the best of my knowledge, I would always play on the safeguard and get a subscription off of like an actual free use, pay to have the rights of the type of videos if you're going into the deeper side of editing. All right. Brilliant. Any questions? So now we've covered a lot there. I want to open it up to any questions across the board. So, and while we do that, if you've received something, you felt like you got direction, clarity on things as far as restrictions, copyright, anything like that, go ahead, throw a fire emoji in the comments. If you have questions across the board, any questions, whether it's to do with this or another topic, you can go ahead and ask them. But throw a fire emoji in the comments. We believe this is super helpful. I was talking with Evangelist Talon. This is definitely something we have to make, like, do our best to make abundantly clear. How do you declare you have the rights to the subscription content? most of the time you won't get flagged, but if you ever do, you can dispute. And when you dispute, it will follow you through some options that you can actually select. And then when you own like a subscription to content, you actually like, it gives you the actual like digital print of the rights to that content if you ever need it. This is Kate Newman, not Lindsay. I'm using her phone. Mine doesn't work, but I have a question about using video from other Instagram account and I use it as a green screen and I'm in front. Is that okay? Or will I get copyrighted for using other photos, videos? For the most part, if you take a video and you take it through like Instagram downloader, TikTok downloader, YouTube downloader, a third-party app like that, most of the time, you're going to be fine. If you can, put an intro into it before you play the video, then keep your face in it, stay in it, throw captions on it, throw something in it, add some music in the background, even if it's all the way down or just a little bit there, hardly noticeable, and then throw a call to action at the end. If you're reacting, do as much as you can to make it original content. And then you just have to find the balance as well. Because I'm once again, the whole reason I'm talking about this is not because it's like, oh, YouTube is like, everybody's getting flagged, everyone's running this. It's almost like a non-issue. We've just had it a couple times, so I just wanted to make it like abundantly clear that if you see these things pop up, just make a slight adjustment until they disappear again, and you'll be good under restrictions. Do you have any key news sources or celeb gossip sources that have proved to be helpful for hopping on trends? For the most part, have your 3 to 5 creators that you follow that always seem to be on the front of the trends and on top of things. And then remember, Evangelist Taylor told me this once. He goes, you're a producer, not a consumer. The only consumption you should really do is that of like your spiritual health. And then second, like I follow some platforms of Christian like content that are not just influencers, but are those like content pages that just post everything to do with Christian stuff. Miracles, babies praying, having visions of God, like end times Bible prophecy. This kid woke up from a nap and prophesied about the end times. Whatever it might be, I follow some of those channels to stay in front of what's actually hitting right now. But a great success system is have 3 to 5 people that are at where you want to be, doing what you want to do, having success where you want to succeed, that are constantly at the front as well, and using some of those ideas at least as idea triggers for you. Brother Felix, we own an account with Motion Array that we use for our church content, paid by the ministry. Should we have a separate subscription for our personal stuff? We're a first family and own the church. Is that an issue? No, you're totally fine. We are first family and own the church. If it's your church, it's your content. You should be great. If they make an issue, then solve the problem. But if there's no issues, there's no need to like change how you're doing things. All right. Any other questions? We got like 5 minutes at least. Hopping on trends, seeing content that is working is a great way to get a pool of views into your video. I recommend a variant form of stories, current events, and then any topic that actually hits after that. Like if you want to say, Kate, what are the best, if I'm going to make 4 videos a day, what should I do? Trends. What's trending? This baby got baptized. This miracles happened. These kids got delivered. Trends, current events. When 9/11 comes around, just watch. Every single video on your feed is going to be something like that. Halloween comes around. Every single video on your feed is going to be about Halloween. What's happening in the world? Making videos off of it. Those earthquakes in Turkey was a major, major world event. Oh, my camera went out. Now you're just going to have to listen to me for a second. That the earthquake in Turkey was like a major world event, but there was a miracle story that came out of it. And when you do it, then you'll be able to actually like jump on that current event. So those are two things. Hold tight. I'm going to try to fix my camera real quick. So current events, trends, current events, trends, current events, and then big topics like end times Bible prophecy, huge. What's nice about why end times Bible prophecy is one of the most successful topics in our niche is because most of the time you can hop on a current event and it becomes a trend. So one time, for example, Evangelist Talon on TikTok, on YouTube, was the first one to hop on, that all the Euphrates River talk. Evangelist Talon was the first one to make a video on that end times Bible prophecy. It went mega viral on every platform. And then still to this day, you're going to get videos on Euphrates River, end times Bible prophecy. So those are key, but topics, heaven, hell, major success topics like that, end times Bible prophecy, miracles, anything supernatural. And then the fourth is just stories. Stories are huge. I should have said stories first. Stories are huge. If you haven't found something in the news that's happening, anything like that, always find stories. Stories, trends, big topics, current events, stuff like that. Stories, current events, trends. Yeah. All right. Devin has a question. I'm going to unmute you here, brother.
This could be funny, but I'd rather ask the funny question. What's the difference between trends, current events, and stories?
Very good. No, very good question. So stories, there was a woman at the 7-Eleven. Have you heard that one? If you go to Evangelist Talon or Brother Alex Meadows, there's stories like this boy in Turkey was buried underneath the rubble for 112 hours. What he saw will shock you. So that's still like a story. So another example is there's some testimonies or stories that people have where you can tell it in a way that is a story, heartfelt stories. You'll be swiping and someone will just like the 7-Eleven story, the Turkey boy story, like Evangelist Talon, when he first went viral on TikTok, he talked about how someone was contemplating ending their life and got encountered by the power of God. There's ways to tell stories that go viral. So just be aware of like stories that are trending, I suppose. Now, when I mean about trends is like this baby baptized himself. These kids were getting touched by the power of God. This kid was taking a nap, and what he said about he saw Jesus, the trending videos that are like getting a lot of views. That's what I mean about trends. And then current events is like 9/11, Halloween, New Year's, Christmas, big events happening in the world, jumping on those things. So that's the combination.
That helped me clarify. Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. All right, I'll just take. So I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. So all you watching online, blessings. I hope you guys get blessed in Jesus' name. I believe your best days are ahead of you. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask your coaches or reach out to myself personally. Adios.